recording because the live people aren't here yet. I hope that the future is as good as the past has been. I am Derek. I am one of the community stewards here at ETHDenver, aka Spork DAO, and I am joined today by Jason, another one of the stewards. Hi, Jason.
Hello, hello, hello.
Your microphone's so much better than mine. That's
Is
not
it?
fair.
Well, sorry.
Hello.
I got that Shure SM7B. So
Yeah. Hi, Beam.
So.
I can always count on you.
Cool.
Yeah, this is
You know what's
exciting.
kind of
Go ahead.
What's crazy is that I think that one of the first times that you and I met was doing these a year ago. So it's kind of fun to be. I don't know. It's fun and crazy. Fun and crazy at the same time in regards to the fact that it's been a year.
It's not our first rodeo.
It's not our first rodeo, but it's also been a year.
Yeah.
So,
is anyone watching right now, did anyone remember those from last year when Jason and I did this sort of road to ETHDenver, what you need to know to be successful at the Biddle-a-thon? We did like 5, 6 weeks in a row every Friday. And I'm just curious if anyone here remembers that because Jason and I are getting flashbacks. Hi, Exodus. Hi, Brian Childers. Hi, Frankenmiller. A lot of the OGs. My favorite thing about this community is our consistency. I see the same names and faces interacting with each other day in and day out across different topics. I've been streaming things like front end, smart contracts, design, community marketing. I see Juan Geraldo all the time. I see Beam Me Up Now all the time. So I appreciate that we are active and engaged and well-rounded and curious and humble and excited to share our knowledge with each other. Those are some of my favorite things about this community. Brian Childers remembers. So we'll set the table a little bit. Folks trickled in faster than I expected, so we're going to dive in. Jason and I are here to kick off our transition, just so we're really clear about what's new, what's old. This is on Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain, where you would expect it to be the community call, because this is when we usually do these. At this same time slot, instead of doing the community call as you've known it for the past, 30 times we did it. I can't believe we did 30 of those. We are now, because we're getting very close to ETHDenver, the event, keeping that time slot, keeping the people, in other words, like y'all and me and Jason, but changing the format a little. Because as we get closer to the event, there's a lot of information we want to give you and set you up to be as successful as you want to be at ETHDenver. So in that spirit, we are transitioning from calling this the community call to call, the stream title. I messed up the stream title. Jason, can you tell people what we're calling this while I update the stream title? You can tell you're still early when I'm ruining basic things like this.
That's all good. So the title of these conversations every Friday is Raise Your Sporks. Now I feel like we need to probably get like an animation of like Sporky raising the Sporks.
Okay,
so maybe
like we have like an Sporky raising Spork animation.
Yeah. So maybe there's someone out there that knows how to make an animation of a Sporky.
Or Spork Marmot raising a Spork.
Yeah. But cool.
Like a GIF.
Yes. This is like very, last year I had my small little 15-inch monitor. Now I got this giant like 45, so I don't know what to do. But
yeah, so. Shout outs to y'all crazy people doing the curved ultra wide. It feels like everyone I know has a curved ultra wide monitor these days, where they're just sitting there like it's like Star Trek or Ender's Game or something, just in this like full battle station, and I'm still over here like proud of my one monitor on an arm I can move up and down. Like I thought I was fancy.
Cool. Do we have like a Discord channel going? I know that we have this fancy thing in Restream. Which I see all these like chats. Like, how does this all work? Because this is all new to me.
Yeah. Everyone,
Twitter,
welcome,
Twitch?
Welcome Jason to streaming. Welcome back, I suppose, but to this particular interface. Everyone say hi, Jason. Let's answer a couple questions from folks, just because like we all want to be synced up and oriented before we dive into some of the information we want to give out. One question is, how many days to ETHDenver? Brian Childers was saying we should get a countdown going. Funny you should say that, Brian. Jason is the one that started our internal countdown that has been spooking everyone on the team because he started it like a couple weeks ago and he was like 60 days left. And we were like, what? It's only 60 days? So we'll share that with you in a moment. I'm hoping Jason's pulling up his to the minute, like how long until ETHDenver.
Where'd it go? Somewhere in this giant list of Slack. Oh, here we go.
Another question from Memory Gardens. Are we all NPCs? No, you are a player character. I believe in my heart of hearts that we are all PCs, to answer your question.
All right.
Thank you for asking.
This might I just changed my share screen. So here's the actual countdown to the days until
we have a guest.
February 24th.
Hold on, before you say it.
At 10 a.m. when we launch Biddling.
Okay. Everyone in the chat type how many days you think it is, just as a guess. And then we're going to say the number and we'll see who is closest. Get it in fast. No go counting on your calendar. You're only getting 5 seconds for this. I see guesses like 48, 36, 13. Pre-structure. Who are you? You think it starts on January 26th. Yeah, right. 47, 12. Some of y'all do not know what we're talking about. ETHDenver starts on February 24th. And the main event starts on March 1st. Sorry, the core event. I'm working on my branding. 40. Yeah. Okay. And 69 from Franken Miller. Oh, hey, Manus Clone. Long time no GM. Jason, how long is it until ETHDenver?
You wanna share the screen here?
Yeah, here we go. Boom.
We got 41 days, 1,004 hours, 60,291 minutes, and what are we at? 3,617,460 seconds.
Tyler, you win. And I don't think that's cheating. I don't think Tyler knew it like the back of his hand. But Brian Childers gets runner-up at 45, and Memory Gardens gets... actually, sorry. Zach, you were closer at 41 days than Memory Gardens was. So we have first, second, and third place. But Jenny with a very good guess. Jenny guessed 1,008 hours.
So I added that to the community channel call chat in Discord. That way, maybe Tyler can bookmark it. So, is it pin or
in Discord you would pin a message so folks can easily find it, just like Telegram.
Cool.
Okay. So, maybe we can, now that we've sort of trickled in, we've got folks here. We have a winner. It's Tyler, big winner. Let's do a little more of an official kickoff for this. You ready? You'll switch it back to how we want to start. Cool. So for those of you that have trickled in the last couple minutes, just a quick recap. Jason and I are starting off the Friday weekly series for the next 5 weeks, Raise Your Sporks, preparing to biddle at ETHDenver 2023, where we're going to give you all the information you need to know, not just to be oriented to the event, but more specifically to be ready to succeed as a biddler, contributing to a project. For those who don't know, we say biddle instead of build, just like in Bitcoin you would say hodl instead of hold. Oh my God, I don't know how to say the real word. I only know how to say the Web3 words. Oh no, I'm in too deep. I am the rabbit hole. We say biddle because we mean to create things, to make things. So at ETHDenver, which is, to my understanding, the largest, longest running Web3 biddle-a-thon in the space, we're going into our 6th year. Shout outs to ETHDenver for being in its 6th year and being free to attend, always will be. We want to help newbies, intermediate, veteran biddlers alike show up and get whatever y'all want out of the event, whether that's practicing your skills, making some new friends, maybe finding a job, starting a new project. All of that happens in spades. So we're here to set you up to succeed at whatever your goals are. That's my little pitch of what we're going to do over the next 5 weeks. Pitch Spork. Pitch Spork? I gotta go ask Laura for a graphic. Jason, are you ready?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay. So let's start as we always should at the beginning, here in the middle.
All right.
Oh, wait. What's up, Taylor? our faces.
I always like the little tick.
Chicken.
Oh,
Ooh,
look at
that's
you.
good. Shout outs to Jason for putting a lot of work into that particular video. You put a lot of hours into collecting clips and providing editing feedback, and it was a whole process. And your job title is not video guy. So I appreciate you for helping us have a really, really cool hype video.
Well, you are welcome.
Yeah.
That's all those years of work going to school for video production, and then working and editing TV shows, and of course goes back to actually using the skills from school.
Yeah.
Unlike most of the time. So cool.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm changing my screen here.
Sure.
So people are like, "What is he doing?"
I'll fill.
Um,
So at ETHDenver, for those of you that don't know, dreams come true and lives get changed. That might sound a little hyperbolic, but I assure you the number of conversations I've had one-on-one in private and in public with people where they're like, yes, attending ETHDenver was a turning point in my career, in my life, where I either made a connection, found a job, fell in love. I actually do know people that have gotten married since meeting at ETHDenver. One of my key metrics is a number of babies that come out of ETHDenver. That's how I define community, is if we're really bonding, and what more bonding is there than having a child? So I'm really excited for all the connections we're going to make this year, especially at the Biddle-a-thon.
I'm excited. So I think it's what we'll do is I kind of put together some slides, and I just want to kind of talk about what does the Biddle-a-thon actually look like for 2023. There's some new things that we're introducing for this year. We spent quite a bit of time since almost a year ago where we've been talking with biddlers, we've been talking with mentors, stewards, sponsors, and really looking at what makes the Biddle-a-thon great, what are things that could make it even better, and how can we make the overall Biddle-a-thon experience really, really awesome. So what I'm going to do is we'll just kind of go through some of the new things and talk about like the tracks, how tracks are going to work this year, how bounties will work this year, talk a little bit about judging, get into like the new mentor program, and then talk about team formation. And I think we'll probably, that's quite a lot of stuff to fill into like one space. But as Derek said, over the course of the next 5 weeks, we'll actually go into each individual track where we'll actually be bringing on some of our sponsors that have bounties and actually talking about what does the Biddle-a-thon look like from each of these unique perspectives. So with that, are you sharing the screen yet?
I am. Oh, dang it. That one looks horrible. I'm wondering whether this one or this one looks better. I'm thinking it's
probably
the one
that one.
You like this one?
Well,
just so we don't cut off text or something.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that the little characters might disappear, and I don't want.
Oh, yeah. No, we can't step on those.
Or
yeah.
Or the whale disappears.
So, does everyone have your notebooks? This is my high school teacher coming out. Everyone, I hope you're taking notes. This is actually important information to make sure you digest.
Well, the great thing is, you can totally take notes. We're right now finishing up the website, and soon all this information that I'll be talking about today and over the course of the next 5 weeks will all be available on the website. So all that stuff is coming. So cool. All right. Look at that. Characters. Good morning.
Let's wait before we go on. I think one of our strengths is our cuteness and our memory. Can you go back to GM friends? But we also move very quickly. So I'm curious whether off the top of their heads folks know what all these characters are called. Can folks shout out in the chat the names of all 6 of these? There are 6 different members of our of the, or just any, like I would love to see people, you get full credit A+ if you can write out what all 6 of these are. But if you can just write any of them, that would show me that you know. This is, again, my high school teacher coming out. It's a check for understanding. Do you understand that you're in the presence of Bufficorns and a bunch of other characters in our magical cast? Nikoshi sees the Spork Marmot. Manus Clone OG already locked it in from left to right. We got the Spork Marmot. We got, or excuse me, not from left to right. We got the Buffagway, the youngest member of the cast. We have Sporky. This is the year of the Spork. This is Sporky's year to shine. The Spork Marmot riding on top of, that's actually a Pega-Bufficorn, and you know that because of the Pegasus wings on the Bufficorn. Standing right next to a Bufficorn there on its 2 hind legs, and on the far right, the Spork Whale. So every time I do this, I realize I forget one. Sometimes it's Spork Whale, sometimes it's Pega-Bufficorn. There's a secret 7th one that only OGs know about that's not represented here, but let's move on for now. If you know what it is, you could type it in the chat. I always forget about it. And then it's like, are we going to make a plushie for this one? And I'm like, what? What is that one? We haven't talked about that in 4 years.
I think one day it will come. It will come for
back.
sure. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, let's dive in, talk about judging tracks and kind of how the prize structure is going to work. So again, as I said, the agenda: tracks, bounties, judging, mentoring, and then team formation. So what are tracks? So at ETHDenver, as part of the Biddle-a-thon, we have 5 different types of tracks. So these are like categories of different segments of the industry. Each team can submit up to 1 track, and there could be, between all the different tracks, you're going to have, sometimes there could be an even split between each individual track, and then sometimes there might be ones that are more dominant. So like last year, we had a pretty heavy swing on the NFT market. And so there were a lot more projects in the NFT than there were in, say, the space and the new frontier. So you'll be able to choose which one you want to pick based off of what you as a team decides to do. Who judges the tracks? The judging of the tracks is done by the community. So if you go right now to events.ethdenver.com, you can actually apply to be a judge. And actually today at 11:59 p.m. is the actual cutoff date for applying to be a judge. So if you are like, hey, I want to judge the track, which is basically all the project submissions, you want to make sure to go events.ethdenver.com/judging, and that in there you'll be able to apply to be a judge. So there's that. So then what are sponsor bounties? So we just talked about tracks. Let's talk about bounties. Bounties are all done by sponsors. So sponsors that are in kind of the meta, what we call meta cipher presenting sponsors. These companies all have the ability to, in addition, to provide bounties for sponsors and everything that you're going to work on. So depending on the sponsorship level will be dependent upon how much they can provide in sponsor bounties. As a Biddle team, you can submit up to 10 bounties per project. So if you are a team of 4, as an example, and you are like, I want to Biddle on 10 bounties, you can do 10 bounties. If you want to do 1 bounty, you can do 1 bounty. There's a lot of different strategies in there. I always think that it's smart if you're like brand new to biddling, or this is your first time participating in a Biddle-a-thon, you want to maybe only work on 1 bounty and really just dive in and focus in on that. Whereas some of the more experienced or people that have been participating in the Biddle-a-thon for 4 or 5 years might actually take on 5. And then some of those that are just like really driven, or they want to stack their project, they'll actually go for all 10. You don't have to go for 10. You can go for 1. You can go for 5. It's kind of like up to you as a team.
May I?
Yeah, go for it.
I encourage folks to think of it like I've heard some people talk about choosing like a college or university class schedule. If you take on, in the example of like university, where your intention is to have 3 or 4 classes that semester, you might sign up for 5 with the intention of dropping 1 or 2 within a week or two. In that same way, I've participated in biddle-a-thons where we said these 5 bounties might be relevant. Let's keep an eye on them as we keep going. And then somewhere in the middle, we said those 2 we don't have the time to implement or be shoehorning it in, but let's keep these 3. So it can be something that you're keeping an eye on, but then by the end you clarify, no, we're really just dialing in here, and it can be iterative.
Yeah, that's smart. How many bounties when you were at NearCon, Derek, did you guys? Was it 2, 5? Like,
What
what'd
was
you
the
guys
limit,
do?
or how many did we go for?
How many did you go for? Especially being that was like your first time
That was,
participating in a biddle-a-thon.
We went for 2 or 3. It was pretty humble, and didn't get either of them. But we did end up being like we placed as like a finalist and got that prize, but we didn't get any of our bounties.
Got it. Okay, cool. So that could also be one of those things of like you might make it to one of the top projects during the biddle-a-thon, but you might not win bounties. But you still have the opportunity to win track prizes. So pretty fun stuff. All right, kind of continue here. So what type of bounties are there? So this has been one of those things where we really looked at our bounty program and how could we improve upon it to make it really attractable to both sponsors as well as to biddlers. So we have a bounty steward this year. His name is Matt, and we spent quite a bit of time looking at all these different ways that we could do it. And I'll go through here in a moment of actually breaking down the 5 different categories that we've developed into how the bounty program for ETHDenver 2023 will actually look. But before that,
May I?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to zoom in here and bring in a couple things folks are saying, because like Grok Groove, she's saying Grok Groove was a finalist at ETHDenver 2022.
Yep.
Good to see you again. She said they were confused about the timing of bounties, because I just said you could sort of like keep an eye on them, but you don't have to commit till the end. That's something we're trying to make more clear. And what Jason's about to describe in terms of how we're trying to experiment with a way to have the bounties in clearer categories with more thematic similarity to each other. Because just to say it out loud, bounties are a broken part of all hackathons, Web 2 and Web 3. They have not been figured out as a design space. This is a giant pain point for people participating in all hackathons. Like, what are the prizes? How do I enter them? When? What are the requirements? Who's judging? How do I find them to ask follow-up questions? When am I going to learn? How do I get paid? No one's figured it out. And so we are trying our hardest to optimize for the biddler experience and basically like make sponsors contort whatever bounties they thought they were going to offer into a more narrow set of constraints for the sake of it being clearer for the biddlers. So they are being gracious and, sort of like allowing us to put that pressure on them and say, no, it's got to be like this. With Matlock, you're leading, like, it's got to be like this. This is what our next experiment is to make it easier for y'all. So that's our hope. We also welcome feedback every step of the way, because like I said, this is an experiment in trying to solve an unsolved problem, and it's your user feedback, if you will, that helps us get closer and closer to a good solution. So thanks for letting me do that little ramble, but this is like a key pain point that we're especially excited to try out this year.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So who judges the sponsor bounties? I've seen kind of noticing that as a trend in some of these questions here is sponsors. So the sponsors of bounties have been asked to create kind of what we call a biddle judging team. That judging team will consist of a technical based person in the background, a UI UX design person, as well as a business person or development person. So traditionally, like what we've seen in years past is we'll see either it's someone in marketing is creating the bounty, or with little involvement from the developers or the people that are actually judging the bounties. Whereas this year, we're really trying to take a proactive approach of going, hey, what would it take to get someone that is going to be one of the judges from a development perspective? What would it take to have someone from your team that's UI, UX related? So that way we're bringing that part into the conversation, as well as business development. So sponsors are creating a Biddle judging team, and those people will be looking at the bounties that they submit to us. And then our bounty team, which is Matt and Max. And then we also have a whole council of people that are developer relation people, business development, UI, UX, that are all reviewing the bounties. And then collectively, they're going, this is going to work. This is something that a bidler would want to biddle on. And this is what the prize would look like. So we're really trying to be very clear on making sure that bounties feel like they're bounties, that they're fun, that you know what the intention is from the sponsor. And you'll hopefully see that when I actually start talking about what the different categories are and what the guidelines are. And then as we kind of progress over the next 5 weeks, we'll kind of keep talking about this and ironing it out and kind of showing you examples of what sponsor bounties will look like. Where can I find out more info about sponsor bounties?
Mantis was asking earlier also about whether there might still be sponsorship opportunities on the like being a sponsor side. And to that, I'll say email sponsors@ETHDenver.com, and our sponsor team will let you know what's still available.
Yep. In regards to like finding out about what the bounties are, those bounties won't actually be announced until February 20th. So,
why? Yeah. Why, Jason?
Because we want to make sure that it's an even playing field. We want to make sure that, people aren't building these massive projects, showing up and arriving at one time, and they basically, overwhelm everyone else. We want an even playing field.
This is a caricature, but there were projects at ETHDenver 2022 where we were like, I'm looking at your GitHub history, and you've built most of this way before ETHDenver. So maybe you didn't quite hear us when we said all of the code cannot have been written from before, like the 24th for this year, for example.
Yeah. So
there's a question about judging. Somebody, HTTP junkies, thinking maybe I want to be a judge. This is like the track judge where you apply to be a judge at that link we said a moment ago. Is there a conflict? Is it possible if I work for an organization such as Opolis that's a sponsor, and I might be one of the bounty judges as that sponsor, can I also be an ETHDenver judge for the general track, or can I only do one or the other?
I'll get to that once we actually get into the judging section.
Oh, okay.
But let's just kind of first talk about bounties. So, but I will answer it for sure. So, who judges sponsor bounties? It's going to be that sponsor team. So, let's talk about what these 5 categories are. Oh, actually, let's start with the tracks. Actually, that's probably the better part here.
The higher level.
The higher level. So the 5 biddling tracks for this year are DAOs and community, NFT, gaming and the metaverse, DeFi or decentralized finance, impact and public goods, and then infrastructure and scalability. So last year we had 9. This year we have 5.
And you'll notice there are a lot of plus signs in this year. So we didn't get rid of 4 exactly, but we did get rid of some of them.
Yes. So these will actually be over the course of the next, like every Friday, we'll be breaking down into 1 week we'll focus on DAOs and communities, 1 will focus on NFT and gaming, impact, DeFi, and infrastructure and scalability. So that will be kind of fun. Things that we might like talk about on this are like different use cases, ways that the sponsor or the presenting track sponsor for this is like how they're making a difference in that space, talking about their technology a little bit, what they're hoping to look for from bidlers, things like that. So should be fun. I want to look at it as like, how can we create ways for you guys as bidlers to actually start thinking about potential projects that you might want to work on. So really the goal here is to leave you inspired so you can start biddling or starting thinking at least on what it is that you might want to work on.
Yeah, before we move on, I will say this is alpha. This is the exact second we are announcing the 5 biddling tracks for ETHDenver 2023. So if anyone wants to clip right where he transitioned to this slide and then go tag us on Twitter with it, the Twitch clip, we'll definitely retweet that. Would be much appreciated. So these are the 5 tracks. And like Jason said, we're going to dig into them in more detail each Friday for the next coming weeks. But for now, just know there are 5 different tracks and your project has to choose one and one only to be judged among its peers. Your project will either be in dowsing community or NFT gaming and metaverse or and so on. You have to choose one and exactly one.
Cool. All right. Let's talk about the 5 bounty categories. So the 5 bounty categories this year are: 1, is it a feature usage? 2, bug or issue bounty. 3, launching an MVP on testnet or mainnet. 4, early stage startup. Or 5, meaningful open source contribution. So what I'll do is we're going to go break down one by one. And then if you have questions after, I will do my best at being able to answer those. And for the ones that I don't have the answer for, I'll make sure to go back to the bounty team and we will get those exact answers. Oops. Oh, I have a misplaced slide. Isn't that fun? All right. Feature usage. So guidelines. So sponsors will have to clearly define the features of their protocol, middleware, API that should be used. They're going to provide details on how to use it, different guides, different types of tutorials, and anything that is interesting that would make the app stand out. So this is really a way for them to be able to say, we want you to improve upon a feature within our protocol or within the API. So one of the most common things that we heard when we were talking with people was sometimes it just feels like I'm being asked to do to build a feature for them and not really, get paid for it or something. And so we try to go, all right, well, sometimes people like to work on those types of bounties, and companies are looking for ways to improve upon their feature. So if a company is going to provide that type of bounty, it would be listed underneath the feature usage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So an example of like the API, like if there was some organization that was like, we're a block explorer, or we like scan blocks and aggregate that data in a way you can query. We're looking for you to create a simple front end that displays some of that data that you call from our API in whatever way you want. And we'll give a bounty to who does it in an interesting way. So that's an example where they're being like, use our thing in your way, and we'll pick a winner.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Number 2, bug or issue bounty. So guidelines for this, clearly define or point to a clearly defined bug bounty. Sponsors will provide details on what technical category of bug you're looking for. Example, is this a quality assurance bug, a UI X bug, an exploit bug? Did I say blog?
You said exploit blug.
Yeah.
Clip
Talk
it, exploit
about,
blug.
Yeah, there we go. So in this case, if there's a log of bugs that a sponsor has, they will provide those, and you'll be able to work on those types of bounties, which I actually don't think I see too often in hackathons. So that was something where we're like, okay, well, make use of that.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're getting into the fun ones. So launch MVP on testnet/mainnet. So clearly define or point. Oh, did I not? Look at that. I did not copy the right.
Okay. Do you want to go edit it real quick and then share again?
Yeah, let me.
Because I see a couple questions that we can address in the
Yeah,
meantime. Ooh, too zoomed in.
fun.
Zoom it out. There we go. So Denver Citizen 9, hi DC, is asking, oh, I stepped away. Did I hear no code before Biddle Week? And if that's true, what you can and can't you do before the event starts? Now, I imagine this is something we're going to dig into in a lot more detail later as part of this series. But the short answer for now is no original code before the event starts. If we look at the commit history and part of how you, like your smart contract, for example, if you wrote original code for a smart contract that's from before the event started, that's a disqualification, because our intention is that people are showing up and biddling at the event. But compared to some other hackathons that are like only 1, 2, 3 days long, our deadline is the morning of March 5th. That's a Sunday. You can start biddling 10 days earlier on Friday, February 24th. So that's already a much larger window than a lot of other biddle-a-thons would be. That being said, we are setting the rule you can't be writing original code before the event starts. Now, there are a bunch of things you can be doing before the event starts that we'll get into later, but just at a quick level, I'll say form a team, choose an idea, start to talk about the idea, start to storyboard the idea. Maybe you're ambitious. You do like some user interviews to figure out like, oh, here's our user stories. Here's our avatars. Let's talk to folks about whether this makes sense. Validate your idea, in other words. Begin to design it even. We don't have a rule about no Figmas before February 24th. Do we, Jason?
Sorry, say that again.
We don't have a rule about no Figma before February 24th. Is that in our rules?
That's a really great question.
This is something we should clarify. I think
you-
the letter
you
of the
should.
law is no code
No.
before February 24th, but we are going to commit to giving you hyper clear what you can and can't do before February 24th on a later one of these streams.
Yeah. That's a very good question. It's always fun when you bring it up.
Yeah, well, just because I'm not trying to find loopholes, I'm actually just pointing out that the development process is a really long one, and we're arbitrarily drawing a line in the sand to say, don't cross this line before the event, but there are lots of things before that line you could be doing. Mana's clone was completely mistaken. Mana's clone thought that you had to submit your project before the core event started on the 1st. No. A lot of people are beginning to biddle on the 1st and 2nd and 3rd. So you have until the morning of the 5th.
Cool. I like how we went through all these slides early and we did not catch that the first time. So apologies.
It's okay. That's what they're here for. They want the unpolished version.
All right. Cool. Let's so launch MVP on testnet/mainnet. So the guideline here is that you're going to have to provide a user journey, use cases, and problems to be solved. They will provide a minimum acceptable product criteria, so the things that you're required to do, and then they'll let you know what networks are acceptable. So this is like for those of you that are like, maybe you've participated in a biddle-a-thon before together, and you guys are used to cranking out projects, and you're really going to take advantage of the fact that you could start on the 24th and go all the way to March 5th. You might want to build out some full MVP and launch it. And so you'll actually be able to do that. And with these types of bounties, the prize pool is actually a little bit higher. So you'll actually be able to see to make sure that it's kind of like worth your time. And it's kind of one of those fun things.
So am I understanding correctly that like Near, for example, is a presenting sponsor this year? They're a layer 1 for folks that don't know, just like Ethereum and other smart contract chain. They might have a bounty that says launch your thing, whatever it is, on Near mainnet or on Aurora testnet, their EVM compatible layer 2. That's what this is. Like launch your thing in this specific way.
With the goal of being able to demonstrate a minimum viable product during presentations.
Yeah. In other words, to show off the thing you made that's live on mainnet or live on testnet right now. Okay.
Yep.
So I would imagine a lot of folks are going to fit into bounties like this because this is a more general category. Whatever dApp you have in mind, you're probably putting it live somewhere. And so just pick wisely. If you're EVM compatible, you just look at the bounties and be like, all right, do I want to do near? Do I want to do ETH mainnet? Like, so you can be strategic. This is a beautiful example of a bounty that's very flexible, where you can do what you were already going to do and then maybe make a small tweak in your deployment and suddenly be eligible for a big bounty.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Number 4, early stage startup. So how serious must the team be? Is this a DAO or an entity? Is it investable? So the criteria is for how to hack to receive first stage funding. Are you going for an MVP? Are you trying to build a new feature? This is one of those new ones. So this is the idea that what would funding look like after ETHDenver? So it's kind of like a road to funding. So what are the milestones that someone would have to hit? So what this would look like would be there will be the bounty and the amount of money that the prize is. But in addition to it, it's opening up the door to go, hey, like our goal here is that we want you to continue building and keep working within our ecosystem. This is what funding could look like if you chose to go this route. And these are the milestones that you would have to reach. So there will be a guarantee in regards to how much you would get through participating on the ETHDenver side. And then there would be that other side, which is keep going. Which from my understanding is a pretty exciting thing from talking with all the people.
It simultaneously makes sense and is confusing because this is not very common in other Biddle-a-thons. I think one thing we say often is, hey, if you're thinking about attending a Web3 event, we highly encourage you to come. Free to attend, always will be. In fact, we encourage you to participate in the Biddle-a-thon. Even if you're not a dev, you've already got a lot of skills you can contribute. In fact, Derek, literally went to a near hackathon earlier this year. And to make a long story short, the only skill I had was public speaking, and that was a huge help to our team. We ended up getting 3rd place. That's where the story usually stops. This bounty category picks up right there and continues the story and says, did you know that if you find a little bit of traction and success and interest at the Biddle-a-thon, suddenly the rabbit hole continues to get deeper and deeper. You might be getting DMs from VCs. You might be getting invitations to join accelerators or incubators or write a proposal for a DAO grant program, because the last thing these sponsors want is for you to show up at the Biddle-a-thon, make a project that wins their bounty, and then stop working on it immediately. In other words, to take their money and run. What they really want is to incentivize you to start, hoping that you'll keep going. And they are strongly interested and invested in helping support you along the way, to bootstrap your success. There are all kinds of programs that I didn't know about where I'll just call this like the post-Biddle-a-thon world. There's a huge different set of paths you can take, whether it's like VC funding or incubators or whatever, that I think a lot of folks aren't aware of, but the doors just start flying open as soon as you show up. So anyway, this is us trying to sort of formalize that and make that a little more clear. Where are you now and where are you trying to go next, and what's your plan?
So there's a couple questions that I'm seeing both in Discord and this wonderful chat you have here. Someone asking, like, what's an example of this? So I'm going to actually just read the example that the bounty team created. That way you can kind of understand from their perspective. So an example would be, the title of the bounty would be like, welcome to the creator castle. Description: Ding Dong Chain is a hyper quantized social media chain where you, of course, control your own data. It's just like TikTok, only better because it's slower and the UX is not as great. But we own it, not the megacorps. We're looking for devs to create creator tools and dope stuff so we can blow up the internet in the next bull run.
Wow. That's good.
So that's kind of I enjoy their humor. So
yeah, definitely.
So the criteria would be like this: build something super dope, and if we think it's awesome, we'll throw you in our grant program and or accelerator. Details can be found here. Judging: will lean towards projects that are full MVPs, although a clean and creative implementation design white paper is also as acceptable if the contribution to bridging sharded liquidity is a novel. Please
don't say sharded liquidity.
Okay. Please show a steady commit trail and thought process, sketches, discussions, issues on how you arrived at the decision to incorporate this feature. List any challenges or benefits you encountered in the development experiences. And then these are some nice to haves. So that's kind of like a fun example of what, ding dong coin.
Okay, I sense some team formation happening in chat right now.
Yeah. So I think this one's going to be pretty fun. And I think that's why like everyone that is a part of like the Bounty Council that have like come on and they've seen these things are like, ooh, that's the one that's like really exciting. So
yeah.
Because again, like to what you said earlier, our goal here isn't just to have a bid-a-thon to where people can come work on projects that our sponsors are providing, and then you kind of just finish and then you go. I mean, it's the whole reason why we have Bufficorn Ventures,
which we'll talk about next week.
Which we'll talk about next week, and where it's just like we want to invest in the teams that are actually out there building things that are going to solve problems that we're currently experiencing. And here are ways to do it. So this is going to open up the doors for some of these sponsors that have these accelerator programs, that have these funds where they're like, we want to give you more money. Just come use our technology. Category 4, that's your way. So, all right, paying attention to time here.
Yeah. Can you run late?
I cannot run late.
We only have 10 minutes. We're taking breaths.
Yeah.
We're taking breaths. We're not going to get into everything today, but we'll keep it going.
All right, last bounty category: meaningful open source contribution.
Shout outs to open source.
Open source. So these are these are public and open issues with tasks that define epics. It's providing documents and resources and clearly defining the acceptance criteria. An example, we'd like you to come up with a new process for submitting Web3 grant proposals to L1, L2 foundations.
Oh, that's huge. If you actually did that, that's amazing. If you helped improve the proposal process, it's a mess right now.
This process should be open source so any project in the space can benefit from an improved grants workflow.
Wow, that's a really good one.
Criteria. Okay. Clearly define the process by which a proposal is submitted, including XYZ milestones of the proposal process until it receives a grant. Judging looks at descriptions of tooling, choices, timelines, resource breakdowns, acceptance criteria, etc. Please show a steady commit trail and thought process, including sketches, designs, issues on how you arrived at the decision. List any challenges or benefits that you encountered in the developer experience.
Wow. Yeah, really looking forward to this set as well. So if that's the bounty categories, of which there are 5, we are asking sponsors to fit their bounties through this round, square peg round hole. Like we're like, hey, you got to fit into this mold, this shape. That's for y'all's benefit. So all the bounties you see will be of one of these 5 shapes, which is nice. Then let's talk about judging. So if those are some of the things people might be trying to win, what does it look like to win? What's the process there along the way?
Yeah, great. So, oops, I'm on the wrong slide again. So judging will kind of be broken down into 2 different types of judging. So there's the track judging, which is community based, and then there's sponsor judging. They're happening simultaneously, and I'm being present to the fact that it's 252, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get through all the judging things. So
Do you want to save it? Maybe just do mentors. Is that shorter?
Well, no, these are all rather long.
Maybe we take questions then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
We'll jump into judging next week. Yeah, because I want to make sure that people actually understand the difference between being a track judge and being a sponsor judge, which was actually one of the questions that someone asked. So I can answer that one now.
Yep.
So I think the question, if I remember correctly, was, if I want to biddle, can I be a track judge as well? Or maybe it was, if I want to biddle, can I also be a sponsor judge? Or can I be a sponsor judge and can I be a track judge? I'm going to answer all three. So if you're participating in the biddle-a-thon itself and you want to judge, no, you wouldn't be able to participate in being both, because we see that as like a conflict of interest. You might try to put your own project ahead of other people, and we don't want to put people in that position.
And also logistically, you can't present a thing
Right.
and judge the other presentations simultaneously.
Right. So that's one. So now the other question: can I be a sponsor judge and a track judge? The answer is no. The reason why comes down to sheer amount of time. The amount of time that it will take for track judging and bounty judging, because they're happening at the same exact time, you just wouldn't be able to fit it. So we want sponsors to really focus in on their bounties. And if you want to be a track judge, you're just focusing on tracks. Now, what that sometimes looks like from a sponsor perspective, because it seems like there's a handful of sponsors that are watching right now, is that, let's say the CEO of the company wants to be a track judge, but then you have an entirely different team that's doing the judging for your bounties. We welcome the people that are not actually doing bounty judging to participate as track judges. So that is an option. So last year we had quite a few of those, where a lot of the various C-suite or different, maybe it was like the CTO that participated in the track judging also was, but then didn't participate in the bounty judging because they want to participate just in tracks. So there's that. And then the last one what was the last one that I said? Can I be, what was the last one that I said, Derek? My brain just went.
Can you judge and biddle? Can you judge and be a sponsor bounty judge? Can you judge and volunteer? Mentor?
No. Oh, that was yeah. So you cannot be a mentor and be a judge. So you'll have to choose. So a lot of people have applied to be both a mentor and be a judge. If you get accepted as a judge within the track, and you also got accepted as a mentor, you will have to decide which one you want to do. You can't be both. And the reason for that is conflict of interest. We want to make sure that mentors are focusing in on mentoring and judges are focusing in on judging. The other way to kind of look at it is a common fringe case was a mentor that also happened to be the bounty judge ended up communicating with a group of biddlers saying, this is what you should do to win the bounty. And then at the very end, they didn't end up winning. Another team won. We're trying to remove that conflict to where it's like, well, you as the mentor told me to do exactly this thing, and I did exactly that thing, and you didn't give me the bounty. So we're trying to avoid that conflict. So
a question about how to find teams as we take this like sort of open Q&A for our last couple minutes here. In Discord, I highly recommend because it allows you to say a little bit more about yourself and see other folks' introductions and share ideas. It's slower and more intentional and more open of a container than like a Telegram would be, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to plug another opportunity we haven't mentioned yet that is coming in as a request from one of our other stewards, Russell Castagnaro. If you think your project, whether you've started it before ETHDenver and it already exists, or is a new project at ETHDenver, both of those are eligible for this thing that I'm talking about next, then right below me it says apply to pitch to BV, that's Bufficorn Ventures at ETHDenver. For folks who don't know, Bufficorn Ventures is our new venture arm of SporkDAO. It's new as of this past year. It's less than a year old, and we're already invested in more than a dozen projects, including Tavern Keeper, which you'll see when you join our Discord. So if you would like to get in front of Bufficorn Venture stewards and have a chance at joining our portfolio companies in this like super pre-seed first money in investment thesis we have for predominantly public goods. If you want to know more about that, check out our previous stream earlier this week. I talked to Russell in great detail about Bufficorn Ventures, but I encourage you to check out this link right here, ethden.page.link/Buffy Tank. That's a play on like Shark Tank, to get in front of our stewards and say, hey, I think my project might be a good fit for Bufficorn Ventures and for the community to get behind. That's an opportunity we have available this year.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I know a lot of people are asking like, hey, I have like this great idea to biddle on a project. How can I get connected? Best place to go is the Discord channel, which is discord.gg/SporkDAO. There is a whole like find a team channel. You can engage with each other, start building your teams. We will be talking more about team formation, judging, mentoring, all those other things as we kind of go. But that's kind of, that's all that I have right now. And I'm just being mindful of the time. So do we have a POAP, Derek?
We do not have a Ding Dong POAP. I'm so sorry, Memory Gardens. But I will say, I will give you this on your way out the door, everyone. If you didn't already hear about it, we also launched this week our application for Camp Biddle, a 10-day boot camp that starts that 24th during Biddle Week and has 6 days of instruction from folks like Vitalik and Awaki and Patrick Collins and Solange from Chainlink and Nader Dabbit and a bunch of other all-stars. And it's for noobs. If you are already a veteran, it's not for you. We're starting from the beginning and giving you the skills you need so that 6 days later we can help you form a team and submit your very first Biddle-a-thon project. So if that's you, if you're on the fence, I don't even know if this Web3 stuff's for me, or I think it's cool, but I don't have the skills yet, please check out ethdenver.com/Camp Biddle, BUIDL. Link down here. Share it with a friend you think would be interested. So thank you, Jason, for joining me today. I'm looking forward to picking this up next Friday at 1 Mountain Time, where we dig into judging, mentors, team formation, Bufficorn Ventures, and maybe even one of the tracks in more detail. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. So thanks, y'all, for coming. Truly appreciate y'all being here live. If you have any more questions, you can ask in the Discord. You can ask us on Twitter. Just tag us at EthereumDenver. And I am at the Derek. Jason is at @VersusJL. It's been our pleasure. Until next time, Jason, you know what I like to do?
I like to say biddle. You like to say bye. I like to say biddle.
Okay. I'll try yours this time because you always do mine. How would you like us to send everyone off?
I think we just need to
we just say
totally
biddle?
Embrace
biddle. Yeah, for those who
biddle.
don't know, the sound that Bufficorn makes is biddle, and when Buffy's walking around, you think Buffy's silent. Buffy's
biddle bye.
Biddle
bye.
Biddle bye. It does not roll off the tongue, and I'm willing to give it a shot. So until next time, y'all, biddle bye.
Biddle bye. I might have to work on that one.
Yeah, we will. And get in on Ding Dong Kong while it's still early. Bye, y'all. See you in the Discord. Bye, Suede. Bye, JVJ. Bye, Manus Clone. Bye, Grok Groove. Bye, DC9. Bye, Laura. Laura, you were here. Bye, Dax. Bye, Stim Set. Bye, Beam Me Up Now. Bye, Nico.